Hi everyone, my name is Nick. I'm the lead developer at Accounting Add-ons, and today I'll show you how to get started with BudgetLink for QuickBooks. The first thing we'll do is show you how to connect BudgetLink with your QuickBooks data file, and then we'll run your first report. Let's get into it. I've just started BudgetLink and I'm on the welcome window. So the first thing I'll do is accept the end user license agreement. I'll then choose a new installation, and I'll start my trial. Since this is the first time we're running BudgetLink, it'll pick up that no data files have been set up, and I'll just choose yes to that, and it'll bring me to the data file setup page. The first thing we'll do is we'll enter the company name, and I'll enter in sample, and we'll also choose the data file type and choose QuickBooks. There's three types of connections we support with QuickBooks, and I'll explain all three. Now, the first connection type we support is the one that says run QuickBooks and connect to data file. What this one will do is it'll start QuickBooks if it's not running, and it'll open your QuickBooks file if it's not open. Consequently, QuickBooks will always launch your file and be available. To set that one up, you only need to go to the data file path, click the browse to your file, select it, and that's it, it's set up. This is one of the two connection types we do recommend. Because QuickBooks will be running in the foreground, you'll visually see it running. If you get any prompts to do with updates or upgrades that display at startup when you start QuickBooks, you'll get a chance to answer those. Consequently, there's less chance that BudgetLink will hang waiting for one of those prompts to be answered. The second connection type we support is connect to QuickBooks data file in background. We've got this one available for people who need to connect to multiple QuickBooks data file in a single get data. However, we don't recommend using it except for that scenario. The problem with it is that because QuickBooks will be running in the background, i.e. you won't be able to see it, you won't be able to answer any prompt that display during the startup of QuickBooks, and if those prompts display, there is a chance that the get data process will fail. It's mostly useful for people who need to connect to multiple QuickBooks data file, but other than that, I recommend you don't use it. I'll still show you how to set that up in case you do need it. And to set it up, you simply need to click on the Browse button, browse for your QuickBooks data file, and it's set up. The third approach we support is connect to QuickBooks data file already opened. The advantage of this one is you actually don't need to tell it where your QuickBooks data file is located. You simply need to have your QuickBooks file open in QuickBooks before you do a get data, and it'll be able to read it and run with it. It's the easiest one to support. It also is the one that seems to have the least amount of problems, and it's the one that we at Accounting Add-ons tend to recommend. Regardless of which QuickBook connection method you end up going with, there's one final step that you need to do for all three, and that is authorize your QuickBooks connection. Rather than requiring a username and password to connect to your QuickBooks data file, QuickBooks requires the actual application, the actual BudgetLink, to be authorized to connect to your QuickBooks data file. To do that, you simply need to click on the authorize button, answer yes, and QuickBooks will pop up with a message to say BudgetLink is trying to connect, and you can see it here, Accounting Add-ons BudgetLink is trying to connect. You can then say yes and continue, and then click on done, and for the life of that QuickBooks data file, it will be allowed to be connected by BudgetLink. Once this is done, we can now click OK on that message, OK on this dialog, close on this one, and we can now do a full get data from BudgetLink. The data will be downloaded from QuickBooks, and at the end of the process, we'll be able to run our first report. One of the constraints that BudgetLink has when reading your QuickBooks data file is there can't be any duplicate accounts or classes. When you look at MYOB, it forces that uniqueness by ensuring that the account numbers are unique. Whereas in QuickBooks, you can actually name two classes with the same name or create two accounts with the exact same name. And that will cause problem with BudgetLink, mainly because BudgetLink won't be able to know out of the two where the numbers need to go. Does it need to go to the first, in this case, Adelaide class, or the second Adelaide class? To correct this type of problem, you simply need to go back to QuickBooks, and under list you can edit your chart of accounts or your class list. For the purpose of my exercise, I'll edit the class list. Now at the moment you can see my two Adelaide duplicate classes. Before I do any change, what I will do is include my inactive classes, because there might be an extra Adelaide that's inactive and not showing in the original list, and you can see it now, it's under miscellaneous. So these three will have to be renamed. There's a few different ways you can take. If I edit the first Adelaide one, which is a header, I could actually just give it an entirely new name, call it South Australia. And in doing so, it's got a unique name. Now I still have two duplicate Adelaides, and under miscellaneous, I could call this miscellaneous, open bracket Adelaide, and now it becomes unique. And that's the extent of what you need to do. You would need to do the exact same process for your chart of account as well if you've got duplicate chart of accounts. Once you've corrected that problem, you can then minimize QuickBooks. You'll have to click OK on this error dialog, and the QuickBooks will have failed. The next step is to run the Get Data process again, and you'll notice under Add-ins in Excel, there's a little light bulb button that allows you to quickly run another Get Data process, which I'll click. I'll need to do a full Get Data. I can now click OK and let it run a second time. So the Get Data has finished running, and in this case it completed successfully because there was no longer any more duplicate Adelaides. I'll click Close, and it's now time to run my first report. I'll want to run a monthly profit and loss report. I'll click on the 11 monthly report pack and then click on the monthly profit and loss. It should open up and should show me my numbers. At the moment it's running for 2007. The reason it's running for a very old year is the QuickBooks file I'm actually running it for is a very old QuickBooks file. I'll just click Customize. I'll roll it forward to 2008. Click OK. Just make sure I've got my numbers for 2008, which I do, and everything's looking good. Now we've come to the end of the video showing you how to connect BudgetLink to your QuickBooks data file. I've shown you how to connect to your QuickBooks data file as well as how to correct the issues to do with duplicates, and we've also shown you how to run your first report. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us. I'm sure we can help. Cheers. See ya.